Warning, the following audio may contain spoilers and language inappropriate for a younger audience. Listener discretion is advised. You have been warned. What's going on YouTube? Archerskye here with episode 2 of Anime Abroad, the place to be for all of your anime recommendations and reviews. But just bear in mind, your favourite anime might just get a little bit shittier. Well, I'm sure this show is a sinking ship. Just wait to happen. So let's just go, shall we?
Set sail.
Let's set sail. Yes, there we go. Joining me aboard the SS Weeaboo in the Scory, we have Ego.
Hey.
Atop the mast, we have Iru.
Hey, what's up, guys?
In the captain's cabin, I am Archerskye, and on the poop deck, we have Bleeark.
Thanks. It's good to know that my poop deck is clean.
Well,
how often do you check?
Well, that is one of the more important things that you have to take care of on a daily basis.
Oh, of course.
I mean, I don't know, unless it's Ego. He tends not to use toilet paper. He's kind of crazy like that.
He just freelances.
Yeah.
The toilet paper's for fucking conformists and mainstream arseholes. Why would you use literal mainstream arseholes as well? So, you know, why would you use toilet paper? I totally see where he's coming from.
Is your asshole a hipster?
It must be. Damn it, I'm gonna have to need to have a talk now. Stop being such a hipster.
I don't know if it's my mic cutting out, but I'm starting to have trouble hearing you guys.
It doesn't matter if you can't hear us, Ego, because we're not talking to you.
That was me.
Well, same difference.
Unlike you guys, I actually matter. I am the show.
So,
what are we discussing this week?
I was just going to say, Bleeark, it's your favourite show of all time. Why don't you tell the audience, what have we collectively been watching this week?
Oh, good. I get the chance to talk more.
Voila Magi Madoka Magica.
Hold on, white man. I just want to point out those... Just, you know what? Yeah, it's perfect. I'm sorry. No, Madoka Magica... We've all collectively agreed to watch Madoka Magica this week. And, well, yeah, no, I don't want to take this full explanation of the show here, but I personally thought this... I was going to
say, do you want to try and sum up what the show is, or shall I read the synopsis that I, kind of typed out and, tried to get one together?
Well, I'll tell you what I can summarize, and then I want you guys to summarize it in your bad opinions. So,
all right.
Fair enough. It's basically it's a world where, I don't know, witches and magical girls exist. And when you first go in, you think, oh, this show's going to be moe, magical girl, crap, stupid poop. But then you realize, if you're not into the moe shit, like Ty is, but you go into it and you go into certain episodes and you're like, this is a lot more dark than you think it is. And it's not like edgy dark. This show has some story to it, but in essence, it's...
That's why Ego didn't enjoy it. It just simply wasn't edgy enough.
Yeah, it wasn't edgy. It was dark, but it wasn't edgy. I don't know. I mean,
it's like safety scissors that you get in school.
Tried to be a little too edgy.
There's certainly a couple characters in the show that are edgy per se, but it's just because of the development, and the development that leads it to them being edgy is the story. But I don't want to spoil any of that, and I want to just summarize it up real quick with these magical girls that have to make a contract with some sort of cat dog thing that can talk through its mind and constantly has a 3 for a face.
And his name is Cube.
His name is Cube, and they gotta go hunt witches. His name is Orochimaru, okay? Calm down. But after they make a contract with Cube, they get one wish, and it can be any wish they want. But they have to, by contract, go hunt witches. The power that you get based on your wish is what you get as a magical girl. Well, that's pretty much a summarization. IMO. I can't go any further.
There is only one thing I would add to that, and to say the reason why they're hunting witches is because when a witch ever shows up, it can cause accidents, diseases, and even suicides.
Oh yeah. The witches are the cause of all that shit.
And the reason why normal human beings can't really see them is because they hide in their own private world called the labyrinth. And yeah, that's what I'd add to that. Other than that, it's pretty spot on.
That's the summary.
Alright, so if I can summarize it rather than these two. So basically it's about this little white fox thing that goes around and tries to seduce little girls. And Japanese people just fall in love with this, because then the magical little girls try to fight back, but then they realize they're not fighting back, they're just, I don't know, they're dreaming.
Spoilers.
They're dreaming of a whole new world.
All right, Jasmine.
It's a whole new world we're living.
Oh, wait, that's not the way we were going.
Well, that's Pokemon, bro. You completely mixed Disney with Cartoon Network.
Anti?
Ty.
Iru.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. Anyways, so I've watched this before, and I started rewatching it. Didn't get too far into it, but the one thing that I started noticing right away that I kind of can't remember if I like or dislike, but is the art design of these worlds that Archer mentioned, these labyrinths. If you have ever experienced any sort of hallucinogenic drug or have seen anything that deals with hallucinogenic drugs, you know what their worlds look like. It's absolute chaos.
If you've never, ever experienced any kind of hallucination, imagine every indie band in the world and every album cover that they've ever made before. Just throw that into a massive world and a massive mashup. That's what a Witch's Labyrinth looks like.
Pretty
also,
much.
Tool is there.
Oh, yes, Tool as well, yeah.
Yes, it looks like a Schism concert or a Lateralis concert. Really... Anyways, the show is pretty much 50% acid trip. But the other, there's like a small portion, 30%, like Bleeark said, it's just magical girls. Now, Bleeark so gallantly mentioned, I love my moe shit, so I really don't have a problem with the magical girl type shit. But at the same time, I can't stand Madoka's face. There's something about it. I think it's the fact that it's like
it looks
5
like
feet
Hey
wide.
Arnold's head.
Yes, Hey Arnold's head. Perfect. It looks like a freaking football. Well, in this case, it might be like home plate, but you get the idea.
It looks like a hand egg, not a football.
Hand egg. Excuse me. We're dealing with a Brit here.
You're talking about Germany.
God.
Anyways, so we're up to 80% of the show. The other 20% of the show that I remember, was the story. Now, don't get me wrong. I really did enjoy the story. It was extremely in-depth. It did start off kind of strange. It started off very heavy, but at the end, it's complete mindfuck and feels.
Hold on. I want to hit that real quick. The end of this show is pretty much like you standing open-legged with all your limbs tied, and then someone gets a cannon that says the word feel on it.
Can you be tied up with open legs at the same time?
Hey, your legs are tied to a post.
Arms.
Archer, have you ever experienced bondage? That's what I thought.
Seriously?
No.
Seriously.
Exactly.
But then
I'm saving myself for you, Ty.
Someone wheels out a big cannon that has the word feels on it, and they just fire it straight at your gut. And that's what the end of Madoka's like. And if you've ever just...
Spoilers.
Don't.
I didn't really get the feels at the end of Madoka. It was episode 3 and 7 for me.
10?
7?
How many episodes was the show?
12. Just like your IQ.
Okay.
That's my IQ.
We're being a little bit generous. I'd say more like in the range of 11.5.
Whoa. Let's not jump to conclusions here.
He could be an 8 for all we know. So obviously, with there being so many.
Are you making fun of my race?
Oh my god. Who is
implying you have a race? No one races anymore.
I could.
He's color because everyone's blind.
I like to consider myself like the dog. I don't really see different colors in people. I just see just gray because there's no such thing as different races. There's just one race, and it's the human race, and we're all beautiful people.
We're all pink on the inside.
Hipster, GTF the fuck out.
GTF the fuck out?
Yes. Hey.
Get the fuck out.
A little bit baked, so shh. It makes sense.
Alright then, so let's jump into the characters, seeing as how we've touched on them briefly. I mean, who did we love, who did we hate? Let's start with, I don't know, Bleeark. Who did you love?
You know what? I'm not even going to complain. We're going to start with me, and I'm going to go with the edgiest character in the show, Homura.
Yo.
And I can't spoil anything. I can't really...
No, you are not the edgiest character in Madoka, Ego. Nice try, though.
Tried.
You know what? I genuinely felt I was a part of the show when I was watching.
I really feel like at one point I saw him just in the background sitting on his phone, just like checking shit out on his phone. Meanwhile, he looked up at the camera like once. But it's weird, though, because the whole show is anime, but he's like IRL, like not even CG'd into the show. He's like in the show physically.
No, he was one of the guys who was talking shit about women on the train.
Oh, man. Oh, God, that scene. I just got done watching that earlier. But anyway, I'm choosing Homura as my favorite character because Homura's, I can't go into it, but her backstory and her whole purpose for being in the show blew my mind.
Yeah,
oh my God.
It's something you just did not see coming. I mean, with Homura, I think as you said then, you can't really discuss what Homura's character was like without going into spoilers. Like, she's quite mysterious from, like, the word get-go. You don't really get to know a lot about her for the first half of the series, and, like, anytime you do see her, she's just showing up at the right time, or giving Madoka some kind of a lecture. No, don't do this. And, you know, she comes off as quite distant and cold, and then, of course, spoilers happen.
Some stuff happens, some things do things, and yeah, that's all of Madoka. Go watch it, bruh.
I thought compared to the other characters, her character design was pretty dull. I mean, I wasn't quite, when I was first watching it, I was like, why is she quite dull compared to the rest of the game?
She's dull until you realize her story, and then all of a sudden, not dull anymore.
I'm just saying what her character design, she looked pretty
I don't know, maybe
dull.
Her character was just kind of like, meant to be too edgy, so it was like too generically edgy.
You can't say too edgy.
Hey.
Hold on, wait.
If anybody can judge what a good edge looks like, I think it would be Ego.
Or Shit Quattro the first, but still. Hold on. I do want to point out that her character design, the way she looks, does seem a bit dull, but I think that's on purpose, because even in her magical girl outfit, she is just wearing a normal, what looks to be white shirt over a black skirt. And not even too much different from the school's uniform. Yeah. But I think that's on purpose, just so, like, when you first see her, you think she's going to be a dull antagonist.
Just about to say the same thing.
Well, I think that brings up
I thought it before you.
Your mom?
That definitely brings up, like, the point of, like, the show being, like, I don't know, it doesn't really capture you right away, and it doesn't really draw you in, and doesn't make you want to watch, like, more and more episodes each time.
Totally disagree with you on that one.
Wait, I'm going to disagree with you on that one solely just because the first 2 minutes of the show was like, wait, how did this happen?
AKA the first 2 minutes of the show is just 2 minutes of an acid trip.
And then it just stops.
Excuse you.
Gets to, like...
The
everyday life
just
stops being interesting.
Yeah, I have to agree. It was that's again Blackrock shooter syndrome.
Shit.
It's just
as true as that is, I see it as foreshadowing more than anything.
Well,
that's because we like the show.
Eventually, we're gonna have to go watch Blackrock Shooter. I can sum up Blackrock Shooter for you right now. Opening CGI looks amazing. Great soundtrack. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. There's a fight in a different world you know nothing about. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Another fight scene. Nothing happens. And then a really unsatisfying conclusion. There we go.
And this is the part of the show where Dave goes on a random rant. We'll call it Dave's Raves.
Dave's Raves.
We all need to get the headache medicine out, because by the end of this, we'll all be speaking stuff.
Yes, that's the point.
We'll all have an accent.
It's like the opening scene for me, like, really just affirmed the point that if you're gonna watch Madoka Magica, it's got to be in Blu-ray, and you've got to have surround sound, because, like, as I say, I went out and
it's on.
I went and bought a Blu-ray copy of Madoka. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. Obviously, I know this is a bit of a luxury, and I've got pretty damn good speakers for my PC. And if you've got this kind of a setup, you're probably going to get hooked within the first 2 minutes. Pretty much more so if you downloaded like a 480p copy of Madoka off the internet or whatever. So go out and buy the Blu-ray.
That's on my list. That's definitely on my list of anime to buy.
I'll kind of agree with that. Madoka is an extremely visual show. It's one thing I kind of noticed and I rather enjoyed was it was rather dull, but I think that blandness was to accentuate the gaudiness of these labyrinths because they were so fantastical compared to what reality really was. I think that they were trying to make that stark comparison between the two.
Alright, if we can just go back to Homura for a second. I was going to say because the first time I watched this was the sub version. So now that I got my Blu-ray copy, I've finally got the chance to listen to the dub version. And I've got to say, the voice actor for, I don't know who it was, for Homura was probably the best performance in the entire show. She knew just how to deliver the serious, signs to Madoka and stuff like that. But when things get emotional towards the end of the series, she delivers those lines equally as, if not better. Which is pretty important considering what those scenes were like. And, yeah, absolutely nailed it. I don't think there was anybody with a better voice actor. I mean, has anybody else here watched the dub or have we watched the sub?
I've only watched the sub.
Unfortunately, no. I've only got Crackle, so I'm just watching it on that and whatever they can give me, so.
I mean, I thought the sub was pretty good as well.
I thought the sub was brilliant. Those voice actors were great.
Yep.
I can't argue. Well, I mean, when you get a sub, I think one thing that kind of gets lost in translation is how the emotions were delivered. So I think with a sub, you're almost always going to have better voice acting, not necessarily maybe better writing, but because these Japanese voice actors know how to deliver and inflect that emotion per their lines, I think it tends to come out better.
At the same time, it's kind of hard to distinguish between each, like, little Japanese girl's voice. So you kind
maybe for you,
like, maybe for me, yeah. I'm not gay enough.
Excuse you. I'm just quite gay enough.
Then that works for you,
darling.
All right. Well, I'm just saying it's because these guys, the Japanese voice actors, spend a lot more time trying to, make their voice better. That way they can stand out more. Plus, for them, it's more than just like a job.
Plus, I would imagine as well, if there was something in the script that needed to be delivered a certain way, and you could make changes to the script as the original voice actors were doing it. Obviously, you can't do that with the dub now because you pretty much got to go along with what the show is in the original sub. So I would imagine that's a contributing factor as well.
Well, I mean, when you're talking specifically subs, I mean, subs are all depending on whoever subtitled it themselves. So I mean, I think you want to say more. They have to go off what the raw audio is more so than the subs. Because I've seen a couple shows with different subbing groups, and there's huge differences.
But Madoka was, if I'm not mistaken, officially subbed by Aniplex, right?
Yep.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. I think it was actually half produced by Shaft, by Aniplex as well. That's what the notes on Wikipedia say. It was produced by Shaft, but part produced by Aniplex as well.
Well, I like Aniplex's subbing. Aniplex's subbing is a little more free flow slang. Like if someone throws out slang terms, it's going to come out like that, and not 100% formal subs directly translated all the time. That's why I like Aniplex.
I want to go back to say the arguments of who is best character. Once again, Bleeark, you're wrong because it was Mami.
Man, I don't even want to get into that because I'm just going to ruin the show. And
actually, I can't even say mommy. That just sounds weird. I have to say Tomoe. Saying mommy just creeps me out for some reason.
Tomoe mommy.
Tomoe-chan.
Mami-chan.
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás?
Anyway, so why did you like Tomoe the best archer?
Okay, so what I really liked about Mami was the whole background story, because as much as you didn't get to see a lot of the background story, you kind of make conclusions up in your own head as to what a wish was and to what her life previous to being a magical girl might have been like. And I thought that was really cruel and unfair compared to what a lot of the other girls had to. They had the luxury of having time to think about what their wish was going to be, and they had time to consider or not whether they wanted to be magical girls or not. Mami never really had the luxury of having that time to, think about whether she wanted to be a magical girl or what her wish would be. What else I like? I thought the character design was pretty cool.
Tits.
Wait, hold on. Before we hit that perverted subject, they designed her to look more mature because her character was supposed to be the mature character of the show.
They're supposed to be, the older girl, the one who's like the mentor.
Yeah,
she is the oldest
the mothering
in the show.
figure of the group.
Yeah.
She's also like powered woman, fighting for her rights.
It's a party.
No, now you're reaching.
No, I just want to point out that when you look at her, it's not because it's like fan service or anything. It's because she's supposed to look more mature.
I'll agree with that. She is really the only fully developed body-wise character in the show. Everybody else is still clearly
in 9th grade.
Yeah, clearly still in high school.
Arguably the only rational thinking character in the series as well.
Oh, yeah.
Duly noted.
I would say in particular, I love their voice acting because there's this one line when I watched the sub, this one line in particular, I don't know why, I just liked it. And I thought, okay, I like the voice acting up to now, it suits her really well, but she's got to deliver this one line perfectly, and that's when she gets her, her finishing move, so to speak, and when she gets that massive gun and fires it, and she says finale, the way that she says, sorry, I'll try and say that less Scouse, finale, when she delivers that line.
Hang on, say it again.
Finale.
Again.
Finale.
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 I just want to point out that that's an Italian. Tiro finale is Italian.
So yeah, I absolutely loved the way that she delivered that line. I thought it was pretty cool as well, after her first witch battle that Madoka and Sayaka go to watch, when she kind of just floats down like nothing happened with a teacup in her hand, and I was like, Jesus, what a great power for a British person to have, to just be able to make a cup of tea appear in front of you immediately after battle. I think the British Empire would still be alive today if we had that capability.
I don't know.
Or rifled guns.
They would have tried to tax that shit somehow.
British Empire and its rule. Okay.
I really feel like if we taxed tea, there might be a problem, or if, we started having, like, rifled barrels or something like that.
Why would you tax tea? That doesn't make any sense.
Man, I don't even know.
Tell that to your forefathers, Archer.
That was the joke. That was the joke. Hold on, guys. Can you hear that? That's the joke going straight over Ear's head. It's just... Did you hear it? There it is. I fucking heard it twice.
That was like a
it went back for a second, came around, and it just went...
Wasn't it?
Mom was in the first episode. I mean, I also want to point out real quick, Mommy's character, the way she presents herself with all the power, but she seems as calm as she is. I like that about her character because it's like
really cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, she has all the power, but she's not driven by power. It's a respectable thing, I guess. I don't know.
That's something I can agree with. I remember that's something I wanted to touch on just now. Actually, was her composure. I feel almost comes from the fact that, like Archer was saying, when she made her contract, she didn't quite have that choice or that time to make her choice like the rest of the magical girls. And I think her composure as a magical girl comes from the fact that she was already accepting her fate. And when she made her choice, she went into that knowing what was going to happen. So she doesn't have that concern that the other girls, that's present in the other girls.
I can agree with that.
That was the question I was just about to ask. What gives her the motivation to fight, but so cool and calm about it with a smile on her face all the time? I never really understood why she would be so happy that she's doing what she's doing. Or maybe it's just because we only seen her fighting witches when Sayaka and Madoka were around, maybe. So because it's pretty heartbreaking, that backstory. I can't see how anybody could have motivation going to do what she does when that's happened to her. And I feel like I want to cry. It's just, it's so fucking depressing.
You want to fall down, try not to cry a lot.
A lot.
I should note as well that this show didn't make me cry, but did make me tear up. This wasn't the show to break me. Oh, Bleeark, I should mention as well, I mentioned that my cousin was watching it with me for the second time. He nearly cried. He teared up. This was nearly the show that broke him.
Fantastic.
This is infinite glory. Things have happened according I have prophesied. I am become greatness.
And he also said that he would name his first child after Bleeark as well.
This is great. That too, that's also great because his greatness and my greatness and his greatness brought together with prophecy. He's going to give birth to like some sort of prophet of the future of technology.
And I'll be related to him.
Magical girl.
AKA the next Steve Jobs.
That was another question as well, like while we were watching the show. He said to me, so why is he just going after teenage girls? I said, because it's like, you haven't watched this episode yet, but it's because girls are more emotionally more up and down all over the place, and there's a reason why he's looking for that particular trait. And he went, that Kyubey's really sexist. And I went, why? And he went, because I really want to be a magical boy. And bear in mind, this guy is 17 years old, and he openly told me, I want to be a magical boy. And I know for a fact that his mother listens to this podcast, so if you listen to this right now, Andrea, your son wishes to be a magical boy, and you should sit him down and have a conversation with him about this, because I'm not sure how to talk to him or discuss this with him. It's kind of awkward.
His child will be infinite greatness, though. Feel very good about that.
Oh, thank God he will have a child in the future, because there's no hope for him now. It's gone.
It's all ogre now.
It's all over. It's all thanks to me showing Madoka Magica, and I feel partly to blame for this.
I want to point out real quick that Madoka Magica was one of only maybe 2 or 3 shows that actually made me tear up and want to just ball up into a hush puppy and just sit here and not move for like 3 days.
Trying to think of shows that did Angel Beats.
Angel Beats, Clanad, yeah.
No, Clanad didn't. No, that's
yeah. I want to hear from you.
The one that got me recently.
That's an argument for another episode.
God, Ego, you've got it so spot on. I mean, in Dragon Ball Z, when Goku dies, man.
Oh my God. And
holy shit!
Like I was crying from the time that he died until the time they brought him back.
You cried for a whole 5 minutes?
No, I cried for like a whole 75 episodes, because it took 75 episodes just for the dragon to come.
Did you count that?
No.
No,
then how did you know?
It's just mentally scarred into my mind.
Yeah, it's a mental thing that you just get from watching the show. It's pretty much math that does itself.
Wait.
When Goku started screaming, I instantly knew it's ogre.
I instantly knew it would take 5 more episodes for the show to continue.
And then he brought about the spirit bomb, and I knew this was at least 10 episodes away from finishing.
See, and
you know what the thing is? The enemy might not even die at the end of it.
If you're trying to watch it and you think you're getting close, oh, this has got to be the season finale, and Goku starts screaming or something, you're, fuck, we got another 6 episodes to go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Man.
I don't have to find something.
When Frieza said Namek only had 5 minutes, he really meant like 20 years.
I just wanted to...
No spoilers. We'll do a Dragon Ball Z episode eventually.
Oh, God. Here's a spoiler for Dragon Ball Z. Everybody dies and then gets brought back to life.
That's the whole
before
show.
Before this gets derailed any further, I just want to pick up, I think it was Iru who mentioned the animation style and how he didn't like the way that the characters were designed. Gotta say, just the head and the face, the costume and the character design, and that was fine. But the head design, I really didn't like it. Especially the eyes as well. They look like kind of soulless, and it was just empty, and it looked like really lazy animation. And then something I only noticed more when I was watching it on Blu-ray than when I watched it the first time, and it was the kind of the weird shading they've got round the head.
Yeah, it's like cel-shaded almost.
Yeah, that's why.
Like a different skin tone around their faces. It's kind of weird. It's like they're trying to add depth, but I'm not sure. I did notice that too. I kind of.
But it was there for like it was there for one frame, and then the next frame it was just like a normal head. Well, if you could call Madoka's head normal, I've got to say those two things really bugged me. And I mean, it's there throughout the entire show, and you're gonna notice it, and you're probably gonna pick up on it. But those two little things really are just completely eclipsed by the rest of the show, because it is a absolutely stunning looking show. As I say, that's why you've got to watch it in high quality, because
fuck high quality, get it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, get it on Blu-ray. I bought it. I would totally recommend you buy it on Blu-ray. I say, like, there's this. I've told Bleeark about this. Like, the first time I watched it, I was cooing about this for hours. It's just when they're on top of the school roof and they're talking to each other, and like, the clouds are just rushing around everywhere, and the buildings look fantastic, and the metal wires that surrounded the top of the roof, I just thought, it just looks so good. And even the rain effects as well, man. Everything about this show, apart from the faces, look fantastic.
I actually have 2 questions right now. Well, one's a question, one's more of a statement and a conversation, or a subject piece to this, but yeah, it's a little subject here. But my first question here is, I'm really curious, Ego, who is your favorite character of the show, and why? I just out of curiosity to add to the conversation.
Sorry, pardon my manners. It's normally me who asked that question. I'm really sorry. I completely forgot.
Well, it's okay though. We all get off topic here, but it's like this hit me with curiosity.
Well, actually, I would say it was probably Homura. And for reasons that we clearly can't go into, she was actually the most well-developed character aside from Madoka, because she just, I guess, in a way, Madoka was like a catalyst for her growth, and she actually helped her develop, and then at the end, like, finally grow and reach a catharsis and then a resolution. And so she was actually the most interesting character for a while, because you kept seeing her just throughout the show and not knowing anything and just being like, what the fuck is this girl doing here? Why is she here? And why is she so goddamn edgy for no fucking reason? And at the end, you're just like, oh, that's why. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and then you break down and cry. Crying and see. If you're going to watch Madoka Magica, I highly recommend you have at least 7 tissue boxes. Just one of 2 things is going to happen, and I'm hoping
whether you masturbate or you cry.
Or both.
Or both.
Or both.
Wow. You say your aunt watches the show?
I was randomly told by my mum that she just went, oh, by the way, do you know your Auntie Andrew was listening to this? She's not into wrestling or anime. She went, I don't know what they're talking about, but it's a really good show, and I listen to all of it. So
I'm glad we have at least one viewer.
that isn't us pressing replay over and over again. So, seeing as just to round this off, Ty, who did you think was the best character?
Wait.
It's going to be funny, but I don't know how this is going to be received. But I honestly thought Kyubey was the best character. And hey.
Antagonist of the year.
And actually, that's one of the reasons. I really enjoyed his character design. I mean, you have what do we say? Fox, cat, dog. It's
Badger.
Badger, vaguely.
It's a card
maybe
cap.
rabbit. I mean, it's this strange mix of creatures that's extremely alien, but
it's
almost.
It's a Sylveon.
Yeah, it's Sylveon, and it's ogre.
It's Sylveon's baby form. Anyways,
Sylveon confirmed for psychic type now. We're on to you, Game Freak.
Confirmed for asshole type.
Anyways, so I mean, like I was saying, he's a very alien creature, but at the same time, if this was something that we had grown up with, you could easily see it placed on Earth anywhere. I really enjoy his character design, but also it was
myself if I came across something like that.
Right.
I would shoot at it
before it mind fucked me.
Yeah, before I got turned into a magical girl.
Yeah,
God, you would love to become a magical girl.
I want to become a magical boy.
Oh God, it's a hereditary thing. Dave's entire wants to become magical boys or girls.
I don't want to become a magical boy. I already am a magical boy, darling.
You're fabulous too.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Ty. Carry on.
It's all good. It's all we're unprofessional here. Anyways, the last thing I'd like to say about Kyubey is I really like how they developed its character. I'm going to say it from now on, only because of the fact that it closely ties in with Homura's story. And I'm not going to go too much farther into that, but you'll find out throughout the story that Homura and Kyubey are more interrelated than any of the characters, except for spoilers. And I'd also like to point out that when they do develop his character, you start to see that Kyubey is very ruthless and very cold, but it's almost necessary to do what he does to be that cold.
I like that about him, though.
He can
I love that about him too.
But it's because his character was designed to have no emotions. So when he's talking, his monotone train of thought is all one specific logical thought with no reason for some sort of emotional sidetracking. It's just logic first, emotion. He's Spock, really. Except.
That's one thing I will say about the dub as well. They really didn't get Kyubey's voice down. It just totally did not suit him. I mean, he sat there talking about murder and death and violence, and he's got such a high-pitched, happy voice, and I'm like, no. This just, you couldn't have picked the most boring bastard you've got lurking in the office somewhere and got him to do the voice acting for Kyubey. Come on, man.
Yeah, I like the Japanese
Step it up, senpai.
Yeah, I was just about to say, the Japanese voice actor for Kyubey was fantastic.
Has anybody watched both the dub and the sub?
Yes, you.
Just me. Okay, so I'd recommend you watch it in the sub. Definitely, for sure. I mean, the dub is pretty good, but the sub's much better. One final thing I just want to say on Madoka before I give it the 3 R's and let you guys say what your final thoughts are or whatever, is the soundtrack is absolutely second to none. Every single track from Madoka, I've listened to it on my Winamp or whatever, and every time a track comes on, I can picture perfectly what part of the show that track came from. And of course, it's Yuki Kadra, man. She knows how to write a soundtrack. She wrote for Sword Art Online. Whether or not you think that was a good show or not, it had a great soundtrack, and of course, she wrote the soundtrack for Fate Zero, and we all know what I think about that. So, any final thoughts or words you want to throw on that?
I do.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I thought I was just having the floor here. Yeah. No, that soundtrack. I just want to point out that one last thing. That soundtrack is just absolutely stunning. The opening was done by Claudice. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She did the opening for both seasons now of Oremo. And the in-show soundtrack is just beautiful. Like, there's a song called Nox Valpurgis. It's towards the end of the show you'll hear it. And when it plays, during the scene that it plays in, you'll definitely be hit with this is an epic moment in the show kind of feeling, and it was pretty good. Yeah, it built up. The show was well done. Oh man, like 10 out of. This is the only show in 2012 that I watched that's just no question 10 out of 10 in my personal opinion.
So it had absolutely no flaws whatsoever.
Well, it had its flaws, but just in general, all the flaws were overridden by how well it was done.
that's one thing about you. Anybody who's got a favorite show, they will, and I will ignore even though Fate Zero doesn't have any flaws. You will go and just ignore all the flaws, and that's it for any great show. If you go out and enjoy it so much and ignore the flaws, there's no reason why you can't give it a 10 out of 10. So I apologise for questioning whether you thought there was flaws in it or not, because I was like that with Sword Art Online. I thought that was a fucking great show, and it was flawed to so many flaws. That thing was a fucking skyscraper. It had so many flaws. But, yeah, has anybody got any final thoughts?
I get it, because the word flaws sounds like floors because they sound similar.
Yeah.
Joke.
Oh, man, that only makes sense with his shitty accent.
See what you did there.
I'll remember that one. I'll remember that one.
Let's toss it over to Ego, and then we'll finish it up with Edu.
Alright, so...
You didn't finish the 3 R's. Rewatch, recommend. That's a bit of a stupid question,
yeah.
but...
I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. What are you talking about? Go buy it on Blu-ray. No, seriously. Pause this, go buy it on Blu-ray, watch it, come back and listen to the rest of the show.
And...
Ego.
Okay. So I would give it, like, 8.5 out of 10. Not quite what I'm interested in, and...
So you didn't like it, you're going to give it a higher score than I am.
I didn't say I didn't like it. It was a good show, but there were like definitely parts at the beginning where it didn't really like capture my interest, and it didn't make me want to keep going. But I mean, around episode 3, that changed, and then I'd definitely say it got me a little hooked, but not enough to like pull me all the way through the show. It was just everybody else's recommendations that did. I would probably rewatch like the last couple episodes and the third one. And what was the other R? Would I recommend it?
Rate, recommend, and rewatch.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it to the right crowd at least. If you're into magical girls, you'll definitely like it. If you're into good plot, you'll definitely like it. But if you're like into edgy as fuck shit, you'll like part of it.
That's why you only like part of it.
Well, I'd have to say, I'd honestly rate this maybe a 6.5 out of 10. It was kind of boring stuff. Nate, I don't want to hear it.
You killed him.
It's over. We're done.
Killed him.
The characters were good. The story was good. The animation is top notch, definitely. I don't remember too much of the soundtrack. That's something I'd have to notice more on my second or third rewatch. But I would have to say, really, it was the pacing of it that makes me rate it so low. There are a few things that kind of tease you along. There's a fight here, some more dullness. There's a fight here, some story development. But they really kind of save it all for like the last 2 episodes. And it does well to build, but they kind of release it all at once, and it's a little bit too much, I think. It's a lot to take in. Because at the end, I'm sure you've heard multiple times throughout the show, it's a mind fuck.
It's a mind blow. No, you won't have a head.
Your mind will be fucked so hard you won't have a head.
It's a mind obliterate.
All right, Exodia, calm down.
So, I would recommend it for sure. It was a fun watch. I mean, it was like I said, it's extremely beautiful, and I would recommend it just to people of a fan of visual works and to some degree audio works. And rewatching it, I may rewatch it at some point in the future. Not anytime soon, but maybe in a few years when I don't remember it as well. Oh, hey, let's throw this back on, see what it's about. Maybe not get as pissed off at the Hey Arnold head anymore.
Your mom. Your mom. It's a great show.
Anyways,
you're dumb.
So how about
Your
you,
opinion
Archer?
is bad.
Stellar looking show, great character development, a soundtrack that's second to none, great action scenes, a lot of mystery behind it, great story. It's got a talking cat in it. I would give it a 7 out of 10. I say I really enjoyed it, but there was some parts of it that I didn't like, as I say, like the head design and the way that the eyes looked, and what else didn't I really like about it? Maybe it's just because I didn't really feel the feels when I was supposed to be feeling those feels when the feels were thrown at me. I didn't really get that emotionally attached to some of the characters. Would I recommend it for sure? I mean, trying to recommend people watch Madoka Magica is really difficult. because it's always going to be that one line you have to say that you have to tell them at some point that it's a magical girl show. And it's, they say, well, what is a magical girl? It's like, well, Talking Cat comes along and gives girls powers and then they go out and fight witches. And it's like, that sounds gay as shit. But it really is genre-breaking magical girl show. Would I rewatch it? Well, I paid 25 quid for the privilege, so yeah, I'm definitely going to be rewatching it sometime in the future. And yeah, that about wraps us up for Madoka Magica. Great show. You've all heard us recommend it. As Bleeark said, pause this right now, go and buy it, go and watch it, and then come back.
Actually, why are you still listening to the show? Why aren't you watching it yet?
Yeah, seriously, we told you like half an hour ago.
We pale in comparison to this show. I mean, like, come on, man, fuck.
Our show isn't even as good. Like, if we just had a picture of me with pink hair and my cute little eyes and my football-shaped head, pretty sure you'd want to watch the show more too. Yeah, my neck beard. Wait, what?
If Nate was dressed up in a little pink dress with bow ties, I would go find a very high bridge and jump off it.
Oh, hold on. You'd have to find the bridge on Google Maps and then just run full speed off of it.
I would have to go to the convenience store immediately, get as much alcohol as I can buy, and drink myself into oblivion. And then
or drink yourself until I'm pretty.
Oh, God. Now that you've put it that way, that's a bad idea. So now we're moving on to
either way.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That image, man. So now
Why
we're
do you
moving
have
on
an image? This is weird.
So now we're moving on to the second part of the show. So Nate, what you been watching this week?
What you watching?
What you watching?
I've been watching some Moe bullshit. That's it.
All right.
Moving on. Ego.
No, wait. I'm not done. I'm sorry. Please don't hit me, Master. That hurts. I've been watching. I've watched a couple things this week, and I was trying to decide what I wanted to use for this segment. I think I was going to use I've caught a couple episodes of the show Squid Girl every now and again on Netflix. A buddy of mine. Yeah. I don't want to hear it.
No, fuck you guys. I watch you can too.
When you said that, when you said this in the chat earlier on, I genuinely thought you were talking about the Squid Gift. I had no idea this was a real show.
Wait, we're editing this out.
The Squid Gift and Squid Girl are two completely different things. One of which will get you banned.
Wait, yeah, I thought it was the same thing.
Oh my God.
No, but the show, I haven't been able to watch it in its entirety. I haven't been able to keep up with the story 100%, so I can't really give a full judgment on it.
I really don't care. I am going to watch it.
You're going to watch it just because it's going to be made into a GIF. Then you can really a Squid GIF.
I can shit post harder than you can even possibly comprehend, my friends.
You do that already. I stopped posting a while ago. I know a second that's getting it out.
We're editing this out, right?
In general,
editing
the animation looks nice. I've been watching it dubbed, so I can't really. I don't like the dub very much, but that's just a side point. Like I said, I can't really judge the show 100% because I haven't really seen the whole thing in its entirety. So, but that's just about what I've been watching.
Ego. Oh, by the way, I'm not editing that out. Me laughing like a maniac. It's hilarious. Sorry, Ego, carry on.
Everyone knows Archer has a squid fetish.
It's true. I'm not ashamed. Whatever gets it off, man. YOLO.
Yeah, Archer's on. He loves that.
More than life itself.
Go. Your turn. Time to review stuff.
I've been watching Psycho-Pass, which is a very new anime. It finished only about a month ago, and
I heard good things.
I've heard a lot of good things, and they've turned out to be true so far. Although I'm getting near the end of the show. I just finished episode 17, I think, and there are 22 episodes. So I think I'll probably understand what people mean when they say the ending was like, I don't know, disappointing for some of them, maybe open-ended for some. But overall, the show seems to be pretty great so far. It draws a lot of influences from like shows that we've all seen, or a lot of people have seen, like Cowboy Bebop and maybe even Code Geass.
I've never watched Cowboy Bebop before.
Neither have I.
Change that.
Dave, get the fuck out of here. Go watch Cowboy Bebop.
Nate hasn't watched it either?
I watched 2 episodes of it and didn't want to watch it after that.
Well, that's stupid. Go watch.
Should have watched it dubbed.
I should do what we've been telling our listeners to do. I'm going to leave right now and go and watch it.
He's going to pause the show live.
Yeah, so Psychopaths draws a lot of Cowboy Bebop references because of how the main character, not the main character, how the main detective of the show looks. He looks a lot like Spike, and he definitely draws a lot of like similarities from him. Just like the habitual smoking, the indifferent, apathetic attitude at times. But what I found most interesting in the influences was the Sherlock Holmes influence. I'm a big fan of Sherlock Holmes books and like any media surrounding it. Holmes, yes. And shit. Fuck you, Ty.
Sherlock Holmes. I aim to distract.
Yeah,
better watch out, I'm posting the squid gif.
Anyway, so you're talking about Sherlock Holmes.
So, the show definitely... Alright,
stop typing messages.
Alright, fuck you.
No, fuck the rest of the show. We're gonna argue with each other over the message system. Let's go.
Alright. No, that's enough. I can hear the typing.
Backspace.
Okay, I'm done.
Alright.
Now that we've all got that clear.
Fuck you.
I had to get it to clear that I have been accused of being a fag, so I had to make it clear that I was gonna fuck him.
Alright.
Back on topic.
The serious face. I have to point out when we say lel and le, we mean that in the most ironic sense possible. Sorry, please carry on.
God damn it.
Just the kind of... Wow.
Well, way to go, Bleeark.
What did I do?
Well, we did say your favorite anime was going to get a little bit shitter, so you were warned.
All right.
Please,
why don't I just drop my phone? That might have been the only problem, and I do apologize.
That was the thing. It definitely draws a lot of attention from Sherlock Holmes with the whole detective, the investigation, and just like Holmes versus Moriarty, Makishima definitely represents Moriarty, and of course Kogami is Holmes. And you can see that a lot of it draws from, I guess, a philosophical perspective where there are two opposing ideas, and one of them is represented by someone who just happens to be a criminal, but they're both very similar and at the same time very, very different. And overall the show does a really good job of explaining it. It actually takes the character of Dr. Watson from Sherlock Holmes and makes that the main character in Psychopaths, even with Akane, who's kind of new to the whole thing and is just thrown in there with the detective trying to figure it all out. And she even gets this one lesson in how to use deductive reasoning in cases that she studies. And so overall, it's definitely something worth watching, because if you're into detective reasoning and just good versus bad, dystopian futures, just questioning whether something is a good idea, you would definitely be interested. And the animation's great. Just have to say that, because it's one of the more state-of-the-art shows. It's very new, just ended, and so it gets to play around with whatever it has. I haven't finished the show, so I'll let you know next time if I remember. But overall, pretty good.
Awesome stuff. I've just thought of a new rule, by the way. Next person to derail in any of the future episodes, and from this point on, if anybody else derails the conversation, I'm going to pick an anime for you to review, and I'm going to make sure it's one of the worst animes possible that you all have to review. So if the next person...
you said School Days. My favorite.
Okay, then. So the next person to derail it, whether it be me or either of you three, next person to derail it has got to watch and review School Days on their own in the next podcast after it happened. So I'm just throwing it out there. Iru, what you been watching, man?
Bleeark's fuck, I'm derailing it in 2 minutes. Anyways, I've been watching this show for a while. It's never really caught me right away. I guess because I wasn't paying attention to it. It's a show called Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere. Basically, it starts off with your basic kind of mech action, but the more I got into it, and I actually might go back and rewatch through the first season just so I'm fully clear on everything. But it's more or less about this kid in Horizon Area Dust Academy who meets a an android who more or less looks like an old childhood friend. But the thing about this childhood friend is spoilers. Can't say that. So he meets her, and she winds up getting taken by the Testament Union, which is this kind of church-like governmental combined into one figure, which is more or less in charge of recreating history. Like I was saying, it's a lot of mech action. It's a lot. It is 99% fan service. I must get that out right away. It is 99.9% fan service, which I don't care for, or I actually love, so it doesn't bother me, I should say. But the more I watch it, I realize that this fan service is actually kind of built into the show. It's so over the top and just so in your face that it's like that it becomes natural. Kind of like with Madoka, you had the very immature girls, kind of being the standard.
You've kind of got to get used to as you're watching it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really blatant right away. Like the main character, Tori Aoi, he is 100% perv. I mean, if he isn't thinking about grabbing tits or ass, he's trying to grab tits or ass. So.
Like a boss.
Oh, he does it in the best ways possible. It's fantastic.
It's like an anime version of Bleeark.
Like an anime version of Thug Life, yo.
Minus all the arrests and harassment lawsuits, but you're pretty close.
Yeah, you know.
Anyways, if you're a fan of maids, if you're a fan of mechs, there's one fantastic scene, I believe it happens in episode 3, where you have this, they call them automated dolls, but it's basically an android and dressed up in a maid costume, like I was saying, takes on something called a god of war. This god of war is your kind of basic armored core mech warrior, any sort of mech unit you've ever seen, kind of like a 1/3 size Gurren Lagann almost. I mean, she goes toe to toe with this thing. It's disgusting how pushed back and overwhelmed this god of war was compared to somebody that could easily be crushed like an ant. I mean, it's a fantastic show. I'd rate it 7.5 out of 10. I've only watched through the first season. It was pretty enjoyable. Like I said, I do need to go back and be clear on more things. Just got into the second season, and it's pretty good so far. I'm going to try and rewatch it at some point, definitely, and I will recommend it all over the place.
Awesome stuff.
All right.
Fan service! Well, I have been watching just shows of fuck all since we last got together. I have been hungover, a combination of hungover and sick for the past week, and I'm still not feeling 100% right now. The only things that I've managed to watch in the past week are a little bit more Shakugan no Shana.
Do you know what it's about this time?
I do. I'm kind of getting a grip of what it's about. It's okay. I'm going to try my best to explain. Okay, so it's about there's this parallel universe running parallel, would you believe, with the human world, and it's called the Crimson World. And from the Crimson World, there are these people called Crimson Denizens. I think if I'm clear on this, they come over to the human world to feed off of human souls, but whenever they attack, sometimes they leave a couple of people behind. And instead of them dying straight away and just fading from existence, they become what are called torches. These torches will eventually disappear over a short period of time. Now, the main protagonist, oh God, what's his name? Oh God, Yuji. Yuji, he gets caught up in an incident where a Crimson Denizen sends a couple of his, call them familiars, I suppose you'd call them. It's a really creepy guy with a doll fetish, and it's cringeworthy. And then there are these other people called called Flame Hazers. Now, Flame Hazers are human beings that have, in a way, have been introduced to Crimson Denizens, but these Crimson Denizens don't want to feed off innocent people. So instead, they go against and try and fight the bad Crimson Denizens. And if a Crimson Denizen chooses a human to, distract me in the chat. Ego, you're reviewing School Days for next time. Anybody else want to step up? Come on, step up. The next one's doing Buko no Pico.
The joke's on you. I've watched both of them.
Anyway, so, oh God, I'm doing a horrible description of it, but this flame called, Yuji, meets up with a flame haze called, a torch called Yuji meets up with a flame haze called, she doesn't have a name in the beginning, But in the end, halfway through the season, he starts calling her Shana, and he basically follows her around while she's fighting witches because he's the only torch in existence who won't fade away. His flame just keeps getting brighter, and that's because he's a Mistes, and what a Mistes is a torch that's got a treasure hidden within it, and each treasure differs weird ways. I mean, I've not seen a lot of different treasures up to now, if any, other than what Yuji's got inside of him. But if I would suggest you go to Wikipedia and just not listen to what I've just said because it was awful. Since the last time I've watched it, it's gone up by 0.1. Probably like 5.1. So I'll probably give it 6.5 out of 10 so far. It's been really, really interesting. There's a bit of romance developing right now. I can't wait to see where that's going. Action scenes are fantastic. Soundtrack's pretty good. I'm definitely going to carry on watching it, and I would highly recommend to anybody up to now. The dubs up to now I've been watching is not very good, so I might switch over to the sub at some point. The voice acting's a bit hit and miss. And something I should mention as well, the flame hazers have got different powers depending on what Crimson Denizen they made a contract with. So that about wraps that up for me. If I'm not mistaken, do we have a Nate's rates? Oh wait, no, hang on a sec, Ty. Wait, before we go into Nate's rates, Ty, did you want to say something?
Yeah, actually, there are a few things I wanted to tack on about Horizon that I had missed. The first thing was that it's got this extremely unique spellcasting system, and the idea that spells are more like zip files, if you can imagine that. When you see these characters incanting their spells, doing their incantations, they would say, like the one character says, unpack 10 acceleration spells, or 10 200 kilometer per hour acceleration spells at 10 times capacity, or something like that, 1.5 times efficiency. And it's interesting that they call it magic, considering it's an extremely tech-based system. And it just makes everything look fantastic, because whether or not it's tech-based, it still comes off as these disgustingly beautiful magic powers. The one thing I'd actually like to wrap up with about Horizon is the main character herself, Horizon. Go figure. So far in the first season, they play her off as some cold, stoic, emotionless character.
Tsundere.
You could say that, but a lot of this is coming through because, like I'd mentioned, she's an android. Throughout the show, and actually more towards the end of the first season, they work her character development into the story, more so as it is the driving point of the plot, as it is just like an attachment. And I thought that was kind of interesting because it's exploring the concept of this android becoming human with these human emotions. So despite the fan service is what I wanted to say, despite the fan service, it's got a surprisingly deep story, if you really get into it.
Awesome stuff. Actually, did we actually ask Bleeark what he's been watching this week, or?
No. He's going to be watching School Days. It doesn't matter.
I like how I went over Squid Girl so briefly as compared to your guys' stories that we skipped over me and forgot I existed.
Well, I'm really sorry, but
blame us.
I'm not offended. What are you, gay?
Well, your description of the Squid GIF, I mean, Squid Girl was very short, so I mean, there wasn't much to. Well,
okay, you want me to describe it? I'll tell you what I've been watching.
Just all you
just
real quick.
Watching.
Before we hit this last subject, I guess I'll do a little more depth and detail for Squid Girl. It's basically this crazy, psychotic 14-year-old girl who's part squid, apparently comes out of the ocean and tries to take over the world, but ends up getting stuck having a job at some sort of beach house because she broke a wall. And LOL, I'm going to take over the world, but I broke a wall, so forever indebted. That's the entire first episode. And,
that sounds like the best show ever.
I don't want to watch this.
And if you can take anything from Archer's laughing, the whole rest of the series is like that, because I've watched all of season 1. That entire show is just disgustingly funny because it's half of her words are like, "You've got to be squidding me." Like,
no, really,
squid off.
He's not fucking you. I'm
dead serious. Like, this is in the dub. I don't think so.
It's in the sub. It's in the dub. In the dub, she says, "I'm squidding confused." Like, what the shit are you on about? Seriously, SRSly.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing.
I'm not saying it's a bad show. Don't get me wrong. I've seen the first season, and if I to the right crowd, I would recommend it. But in my opinion, it's like a 7 out of 10, just because it's the story in it. It's supposed to be like a comedy, of course, but the story in it is lacking. But I haven't seen season 2, So my opinion is completely biased on that.
Got a second season.
Yes, there's a second season, as well as, Dave, you just need to go watch the OVA. Just go watch the OVA and it'll sum up the show.
Hold on.
Oh, man,
You shut your poor mouth. My turn.
Angel Pizza sounds like the best thing to have ever happened.
It's okay. There is one scene, I do believe, in episode 5. Iru, if you better back me up on this one. There's one scene where you see the story of a chibi squid girl who gets picked up by the main character girl in the show, and they do all these fun things together. She looks cute as ass, so it's like, shit balls, man. I can't concentrate because I've been hit by the kawaii cannon. Holy shit. And then in the end, it's like you see, it's all this cool stuff, and you're all connected, and these characters are cool and whatnot. And then out of nowhere, you see this sad spoiler moment where just you want to just sit down and question why life has things like this to offer. And it's great. It's well directed. That one little scene is the single most well directed 5-minute short I've ever seen in my entire fat life.
I can't argue that. I remember the scene you're talking about. I can't remember it too well off the top of my head, but I want a chibi squid girl in a teacup. Come on now. Who fuck doesn't after seeing that scene?
There's nothing wrong with that. Like, she eats this giant shrimp, and it's cute, and it's like, because it's not a giant shrimp, it's like the size of your thumb, but for her, it's gigantorm. So.
Oh, and one other thing, the reason why it's specifically shrimp is being a squid, shrimp makes her what? You can't say it any other way. He mentions shrimp. She gets that embarrassed look, that blush to her cheeks, those sparkly eyes like, you're fucking kidding me! This is some squiddingly delicious shrimp.
What the squid did you just say about me, you squidding little squid? How squid you know that I have over squid amount of kills?
Oh, we got the squid.
I graduated top of my squid in squid school. I'm killing Archer. And it's already bad enough that he's fat. He can't breathe as it is.
Oh, God.
So, before
every show that we have recommended today, ignore everything up until this point. That is the show you've got to go and watch. In fact, after the show's done, edited, and on YouTube, I'm going to go watch that immediately.
That's it. I'm going to go find this show right now.
Oh, my God.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Next week, we're doing Squid Girl.
And my final verdict of what I've been watching but have not completed, I would probably recommend it to the right crowd. I do enjoy it. It's not a bad anime. There's plot holes, obviously, but it's not my favorite. So if you want to watch it, you go ahead and do that. I'm not going to stop you. But if you don't, whatever. Oh, I know Archer's probably going to buy it on Blu-ray before he even watches the damn thing.
Oh, if I can get that for Area 2 Blu-ray, then I'm going to go buy it tomorrow. I have bills to pay.
After hearing that in his life.
After hearing that description, I no longer need to pay my bills. I need to get it on Blu-ray.
The power to watch it. I'm going to go buy this fucking Blu-ray.
Oh, God.
Fuck the internet. I have Blu-ray.
So rounding off the show.
Without dying.
Without dying. I'm gonna
Alright, Archer so let's
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, birds and bees, fruits and vegetables, transvestites and transgenders, aliens and mechs, Nate's rates.
Thank you, Squid, for that wonderful introduction.
Oh, God.
You're squidding dead, kiddo.
I'm done.
All right.
Game over, man.
This week on Nate's Rates, I'm doing a personal show, a show that I sought out by myself without any recommendations because I had already known it was coming out. When I was a kid, about 13 years old, I watched a show on Toonami called Eureka 7, or Eureka 7, however you want to pronounce it. And being 13 years old, I didn't know how to watch anime. So when I started watching it, I thought, okay, let's just watch a bunch of mech battles and people fighting and So I went into this episode 1. This is back when I first got a TV in my room. I just found out how cool it was to watch TV at night. Oh, cool. That got boring, but insomnia ensued. But
it led to much worse problems in the future.
Yeah, I got that. But Eureka 7 at the time was my favorite show. It was the first show that I watched that was 50 episodes that had a story that at the time got me so sucked in that I actually wanted to watch it. every night. I don't care if I had school or not. I think it was every Saturday night. I don't care what happened. I watched it, and I got sucked into it. So recently, maybe last year, sometime in summer, a little before summer, they started the sequel to the show called Eureka 7AO. And I'm going to be reviewing that real quick because I actually watched the show, and I got a lot of things to say, and a lot of it isn't good, a lot of it is good. But let's start with the story in it. The story in it is supposed to be a sequel in the past, directed to the future, connected to the past. So if you want to watch this, be sure that you're not like completely confused on the original story. Otherwise, or stoned. Otherwise, you're going to be completely confused as to what's happening or why this is all happening in the second season. But the first season, or the first show, because it's a direct sequel, but it's not the same show. It's a different show altogether. I like that about it. But the story got so confusing and so disappointing that it's just like, this is just not what I was looking for in the sequel to one of my favorite shows of all time. But as disappointing as it was definitely something I enjoyed watching the shit out of. And I know you guys are probably talking shit about me in the chat, but give me a second here. The soundtrack of the show, squid. Okay? All I have to say is squid from now on. The soundtrack in the show is probably one of my favorites, right there next to Madoka Magica, right there by Full Metal Alchemist even. The soundtrack it's operatic electronic rock. I don't even know if that's a genre, but that's like all three of those things put together, and it's fucking great. The mech battles are great, the animation is fluent, everything looks fucking great. The voice acting is 7, maybe 8 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it's not horrible. And I'm pretty sure this is like one of the only shows I'll ever be disappointed in from a direct sequel from the previous show. But Eureka 7AO gets a 6 out of 10 for me. I am disappointed with the story. That was just a personal view on it. I am going to go rewatch it soon because now I can watch it in 1080p, and I really would enjoy watching it in a higher quality than 480. But I would recommend it. I would recommend it if you're a big fan of the original Eureka 7. But just know that you're in for what could be a moderate disappointment based on how you view the show. That just about sums up this squid of a rate. Enough of the squid puns already, Nate. Okay.
Holy shit, Squid Girl is £15 on DVD. I'm buying it. That's it. It's bought. It's on its way.
This weekend, what you been watching? Squid Girl again.
I watched it 5 times this week. It was great.
We're changing the name of the show to Squid Girl. The Squidology.
The Squid Girl Show.
Squid Abroad.
Anime is squid.
So thank you very much for those rates, Nate. And I think that about wraps us up here. So as ever, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't be a divvy. Feel free to leave all your sexual propositions, squids, threats, and possibly suggestions in the comments section below. Please, if you liked it, give us a like. And yeah, of course, you should always recommend this show. But don't tell your friends. Tell a stranger instead.
They'll laugh at you less.
Just make sure you tell them that you're a squid.
Yeah, tell them Archer sent you here. And he's the Squid Master. That's my official title from now on. I'm no longer Archerskye, I'm Archer Squid. So, yeah, that was Anime Abroad. Thank you very much for listening. And this is Archerskye signing out.
This is Iro with a final note on Madoka. Make sure you're fucked up when you watch it. It might make more sense.
Don't do that. Don't ruin it. Don't you ever ruin Madoka with that fucked up. No. You find a bridge. You're kicked out of the show. End of story. Signing out from Bleeark. I'll see you next week.
You go.
Stay classy, San Diego.
I don't really have anything funny to say. Bye.
Square.